Yeah, I just wanted to give my impressions initially of what I think of the PlayStation VR. Now, I've had it for about a week. I haven't had a great opportunity to play a lot of it as much as I'd like to, but I'm going to be honest, I really do like it. I probably played over the week, I'd say like 8 hours of it. I finished the Batman game, which was an amazing experience. Not so much of a game per se, it's not like the other Arkham games, but it was an amazing experience. Some of my other games I've played and I really liked. Obviously, you see right here is Job Simulator. I was a big fan of Job Simulator. The interactivity in Job Simulator is amazing. Now, I have not really played a lot with the HTC Vive, and that's probably why I'm more in favor of the PlayStation VR. But taken as it is, if you're a console gamer and you haven't had a lot of experience with VR, it's gonna blow your mind. Now, there's some things that aren't perfect. I think the setup of the VR unit is a little bit demanding for an average person, an average front room. One of the big things I noticed with the VR unit personally is if you don't have things set up, you're going to have a rough experience. This kind of reminds me of Kinect in a lot of ways. Setting up the camera placement, I think, in my opinion, is the most important thing because the camera tracks the VR unit and your move controllers. And if you have a poor camera placement or a poor play area in general in your front room or office or wherever you're playing a bedroom, you're going to have a bad experience. And I noticed personally that if I had the camera placed too low or too high, once it loses the focus of the VR headset, you'll get what they call juddering or jittering. It's like the picture coming in and out of focus, and maybe like a wave or feeling. Not a good feeling. It'll make you nauseous. The move tracking ends up, way out. And even with good camera placement, every once in a while the move tracking goes crazy. I've had to reset my move a couple times, like turn off the controller and put it back in. But then once I do that, it's fine. So I think there's just something glitchy there, software-wise. Could be better with that regard. But overall, the product does work. I'm a big fan of it. I think I think the tracking is pretty phenomenal. As you can see in Job Simulator, it works pretty good for me, and I think this was early on when I didn't quite have the camera placed right. But my hands were working really well in that game. I haven't really had too many problems in Arkham VR. Didn't really have an issue. Uh, London Heist and PlayStation World's no problem again. So I mean, a lot of the VR games are working pretty well for me. Now there are more traditional games like Valkyrie and Riggs, Battlezone. I only personally have Valkyrie, and I really do like Valkyrie. It does make me a little queasy, so to speak, at times when I'm doing barrel rolls and stuff. But you get used to it. It's really not that bad. The resolution in that game particularly is a little bit low, so I notice a lot of blockiness and stuff like that, and artifacting. But what's funny is a lot of people complain about the resolution. I knew what I was getting into when I bought the product. The PlayStation 4, at least the non-pro version, isn't really a beast. It never really was. So I expected the resolution to be low, and I really don't have a major problem with it. It's so immersive. You still have a good time, and you don't really think too much of it. So I didn't have a real big issue. Now, in terms of other game experiences, or non-game experiences, I should say. There's a Hulu app. I played around with that for a minute. It's okay, and there's some VR video apps, but there really isn't much right now on the PlayStation. You can't play YouTube videos in 360 degrees. Netflix isn't really technically supported, so that's a bit of a letdown. One thing that's kind of interesting that I don't see a lot of reviewers talking about is the cinema mode. Now, the cinema mode is basically a virtual theater screen for non-VR content, such as Netflix or pretty much any HDMI source, but mainly PlayStation 4 games. Like for instance, I played Overwatch through it. You know, it's definitely not the sharpest picture, but honestly, I personally don't have a major issue with it. And this is actually something where your play space doesn't matter so much. Now, if you remember me earlier in this video saying that the play space really makes a big difference, cinema mode doesn't actually use the camera, so I can sit further back on my couch. which is kind of nice because my couch is probably, because my camera's mounted on top of my TV. I'm a taller guy, so it has to see my arms up uh, because it's on top of my TV. I really can't sit on my couch and play without that wobbling effect again or jittering. So, but with cinema mode, because it doesn't use the camera, I can sit on my couch and it just uses the gyro in the VR unit. So I have really no problem there. And it's a good experience. The resolution's a little low, but hey, it's like sitting in a movie theater. I love it personally. Um, and that's the last thing I'll say about the VR unit in general is I want to go back to camera placement. If anyone remembers Steel Battalion heavy armor on the Kinect, I said that you have to have everything perfect and then it works. It's the same with the camera and the VR unit. I actually have to pull up a chair and sit 6 feet ahead for sitting games like Until Dawn to get a good experience. And that's not a good thing. But overall, I love the VR unit. It's really it's an amazing device, and I'm really excited for the technology. I recommend picking it up. If you have the money, grab it. It's the future. Thanks for watching.